Today we're going through breeding in Palworld. Why would you want to do this? Breeding is the easiest way to get the passives that you want onto your pals. There are some other things that we can do to manipulate this. We'll go through those as we go forward. Ultimately speaking, if you have a selection of things that you want to put on your pal, this is going to be the way. I'll try to be clear and methodical about it. When you should start doing this is a little bit all over the place. For example, there's an NPC that we can capture. We'll just show him quickly now, which is Dr. Brawn. And if you see him at any point, you should try and capture him and bring him back to your base. We'll touch on a bit more later on. Other things, such as there is another pal called Yakimo, which I think is more useful when you get to the back end of the game, because this passes passives onto other pals that you catch. And I feel like this is most useful when you're trying to catch pals that you can't breed into. There's a few things that are all over the place. If you're watching this at early game, kind of take note of a few things you want to do as you're exploring. If you're doing this at late game and you've missed a lot of this, some of it you may just have to make up for as you're exploring or doing other things, because getting the Dr. Brawn, for example, to spawn is not something you can manipulate very easy. You're just gonna have to keep an eye out for him. To get started then, to make 2 pals breed, we need to build ourselves a breeding farm. I actually like to have 4. I've dedicated my entire base here to mostly breeding. And what I recommend doing is making it so that your breeding base has oil in it. This is just going to mean that there is a material coming out of your base when you're not using it. So it's not a complete waste whilst you are going off and doing other stuff within the world. If you want to see where mine is, I am to the northwest of the Moonflower Tower. I have made mine dual level, so I have 2 levels here so they can have 4 farms, just because that feels pretty good for me when it comes to getting what I want. There is one ingredient out of the materials that we need that's difficult to farm, in my opinion, and that is honey. So you are going to want to capture bee guard and put them in ranches. And again, I have 4 of those. That has been very much enough for me. I haven't even bred very good ones. These are just normal bees here, and as you can see, I've got plenty of honey just going into my chest there, which just allows me to make cakes easily. Optional extras, which I think are worth doing, is obviously berries for food, because that is another ingredient that we're going to need, and wheat so that we can make flour. That is another ingredient that we're going to need. Now, why do we need these ingredients? It's because we need to make cakes. Each time that you want a pal to be able to breed, you need to be able to make a cake. We need flour, berries, milk, egg, and honey. We've got the one way to get honey, and we're getting plenty of that because my pal's picking that up, put it in the chest for me. We've talked about flour, we've talked about berries. Milk and eggs come from the cow and chicken pals, respectively. However, what I like to do instead is to head on over to the Marsh Island fast travel point. And then once we get here, we want to head to the north. So you can see we've got these few islands here, and you'll see it a little bit before you get there. We've got smoke, you see, rising off of the island right there. Here, we're going to have a pair of merchants, and this red one right here sells a lot of the ingredients at a very reasonable price. So go ahead, throw a pal sphere at him and capture him, just in case you want to see me on the map. You can see we're pretty much directly north from the marshland fast travel point. Capture him and then put him in your base, and then you won't have to worry about eggs or milk, and you have all of the ingredients for your cake sorted. Now that I've got myself a few ingredients, I just bought some from my merchant that I've got in my base right now, and then we go ahead and get some cake made. You take the cake over to your breeding farms. I'm going to put it in this one for now, although maybe this one's a little bit clearer so you can see it. So we have the chest on the front of the ranch, and we just put the cake in there. You'll notice that for whatever reason, I don't know if this is just because there's pals in there, the countdown doesn't come down on the cake, so you can make as much of this as you want and then just continually breed. And then we head on over to the pal box, and you add the pals that you want to breed to your workforce in the base. A tip on getting the pals to connect to the breeding farms easily is to build yourself the monitoring stand, and then we can just assign the pals that we want to breed to each ranch and make sure that they don't do anything else or start messing around. They'll just stay exactly where it is that we put them, continually making the eggs that we want. If that's enough for you and you just want to start messing around with the breeding, thank you very much for watching. Please leave me the hammer emoji. And as you can see, if we take 2 Anubis, we breed the Anubis, we'll get the eggs in here. And if I take those to any hatchery, it doesn't matter if you've got the fast one or the slow one, we put that in, and as you can see, we get an Anubis. Generally speaking, you have an increased likelihood of getting the passives that you have on the parents. So as you get good passives that you like, you should switch in the better passives so that you keep on increasing the likelihood that you have of getting the passives that you want. Additionally, though, you can also put in separate parents. So you can see here we have a Mao and we have a Digtoise. And if I take one of these fire eggs, and you'll note neither of those are fire types, you should get something else. And in this case, it happens to be the Wixen that I've been wanting to breed for a while. If you want to work out how you get from different pals, and there's a reason to do this, as you can see just there, I wanted to get good stats on a Wixen, and this is called a breeding breeding chain so that I get the good passives that I have on some pals onto other pals. The best way to do this that I've found is to use a calculator. And the calculator that I've enjoyed the most, we're going to go through it quickly. Hopefully these guys don't mind me advertising their website for them, is this one on Game 8. If you know of a better one, you guys go ahead and use that, or maybe even suggest it in the comments. Do what people should Google or something like this, because YouTube doesn't seem to like links. But basically we come down here and we can go to, in my opinion, the best one to use is the breeding chain calculator, because this will allow you to go from one pal to another. This isn't possible for all pals. So if you are trying to get a pal like Jetragon, you can't breed into Jetragon. So if you want to put something on there, you may have to use a different method, which is why we was talking about Yakumo earlier. But it does mean, well, let's say you have an Anubis. You've got a really good perfect Anubis with 4 passives that you really enjoy, and you want to put those on a Yormantide. Let's go with Yormantide. We can select that and we'll press search, and now it's going to show you how you can do that. You can see the different levels of chains here, and I'll use this, even though this one's easier, just to show you what happens if your 2 is up at the top. With this, we know that we can breed an Anubis and a Suzaku to get Yormantide with the stats that we want. So we could do that and get what we want, which is exactly what you just saw me do with the Wixen there. If it's something that has 2 stages, so there's a 2 here, let's say these didn't exist, I could be like, okay, so Anubis and Starion. We press this plus here, and that's going to show us then the next stage. So we can do King Packer into Cryolinks for Yormantide, because we was going to get King Packer from the Anubis and Starion. So very useful, in my opinion. I'll leave this somehow in the description so that you guys can use the link. Like I say, YouTube's a bit funny with links, so hopefully it works, and that just makes it really easy. This is the main thing that I think is worth using on this website. Now that you know about breeding chains, I'm going to suggest that you catch a lot of a single pal, because it is a very easy way to get stocked up on lots of really strong passives. Some people are probably going to know what this is already, but we have a lot of gobfins here, and look at all of these flashy looking passives that we have all over this. The reason these are easy to farm is because there are lots of them that spawn very quickly all in one place. If you've never been there before, this is Gobfin's turf. You can see on my map right now. We'll go over there, we'll have a bit of fun with it. Be sure to bring ultimate pal spheres. I actually like using these a lot because they don't need external materials from a base. So long as you have stone coming in so that you can make paldium, and you have ore coming in which you can now get in the base, and a bit of coal so that you can make carbon. These are easily producible with those materials, which means we can have lots of them and not have to worry about restocking. And they always catch the gobfins 100% of the time, which means we can power through loads of them like this. So what I recommend is bring about 500 spears and really just go to town catching an absolute ton of gobfins. These are useful for so many things, because not only is this a good way to get yourself the extra passives that you need, they're also good for one of the caverns, so you can start getting your ancient cores. The most outrageous thing is these are actually included in a lot of pal chains, so these actually make it very easy to breed stats onto a huge variety of different pals in the game. And there we have our first 4-star. You can see I just got diamond body. I just wanted to make sure I got one of those so that I could show it. So I'm going to leave now so that we can look at condensing these down a little bit, because otherwise your pal box is going to fill very quickly. Now, of course, this technically doesn't help you with breeding, but it is just worth knowing that, you know, you are going to fill up your space a little bit quickly if you're not careful. So what I recommend doing is, once you've caught a load of gobfin, go through them like so. So you're going to have a look, and if there's anything that you like the look of, philanthropist, I'm not really a fan of. Let's have a look here. What do we get? Did we get anything good? We know we got diamond body, which is good. We've got artisan, so you might want to keep out for that. 50% work speed, you're going to go ahead and put a marker on it. That way you're not going to lose it. Mastery of fasting, so we're going to eat way less food. All right, yeah, maybe we'll keep that. You're just looking for stuff that you want to pass down. Sometimes you may need to Google different passives, because I'm sure different passives will end up coming out. It's not the best defense right now because diamond body came out, but if you look at burly body, maybe that's the best one right now. Maybe in the future that'll have a better version of it. We actually already have diamond body, which is the best defensive one. We're going to get 30% defense from that, and especially if it's just a single passive, because that actually makes that easier to pass on. Vanguard is another standout one, so you'd ordinarily keep that. I obviously already have this, so I won't mark it right now. The Vanguard is another standout one because it means PAL is in your inventory. That's just going to give you more damage as you're going around. So obviously go ahead, have a look on through, mark any that you want to keep. And then, as we said before, this is one that I've bred, obviously. You'll end up breeding good gobfin parents, because you should breed them together to get them all onto one gobfin. That way, when you try and breed this onto other pals, that's going to make it way easier. And I like having a 3. That way there's still a spare one there, because legend comes from legendary pals. So if you just breed yourself a good selection of good gobfins, you're not going to have too many problems when it comes to passing around those passives. And then what we want to do to clear out our inventory is to come on over to the condenser, because realistically it's worth keeping them so that we can send them on expeditions. So we just come on over, select one that's not maxed out yet. So this diamond body here looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead, get all those chomped. I like to just run that every now and then just so we can top ourselves up on extra abilities or anything else like this that we need. That is how you're just going to start banking all of the passives that you want. There are 2 characters we want to add to our base as well to speed things up. We already spoke about Dr. Brawn at the top. He is a random spawn as you are going around the world, so just keep an eye out for him. I think I took a clip of when I caught mine, but it is quite rare, so just be aware of that. And just keep an eye out for him, right? It's pretty obvious to see when you see him, and just make sure you get a mercy ring on and capture him, because he's just really good. We're going to talk about him in a minute. And additionally, what we want is a 4-star Braloha, and we're going to make sure that it's level 5. I don't know what the time difference is. Haven't exactly got a stopwatch out and looked at the difference in the amount of time it takes for that to happen. But ultimately, this is giving us a benefit to producing eggs within our farms, and we only need 1 of those. So go and catch those. In case you don't know, they spawn in large numbers over on this island here, all the way over to the east. Okay, so you're just going to want to fly around that, catch a load of them. You're going to need like 116 to get it to max level. That is going to just take care of making the eggs appear faster. We now know male and female, different pals can give different eggs. I've shown you guys the calculator. We're going to start getting eggs to drop from the pals. There are some things to be advised on here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick 10 of these up just so that we've still got a little bit here just for me to use over the course of the video. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to get these hatched in the incubator. Of course, whether or not you are hatching them one at a time or in multiples, it doesn't really make much difference. And what I would suggest is when you get a perfect one like this, is we actually want to put that back in so that we can continue breeding perfect ones. Now, this isn't essential all of the time, but because of the doctor, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute, you will want a couple of spares just in case something goes wrong. So I'm pretty happy with this one. This is exactly what I wanted on my pal, Serenity Legend Vampiric Diamond Body. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that back in there so that I can get more of those perfect stats, because currently my parents are not perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. And then, as I said before, so that's not currently linked to the ranch, so you guys will get to see this in action now. So we'll come down here. My new pal is going to go on in, and they're going to start making more eggs. I'm, of course, going to open the rest of these, and then I'm going to use one of these to show you why you will want a few spares. So I'm going to take this Wixen here that I'm not too bothered about. What we're actually going to do is we're going to look at its stats. We're going to go ahead. We're going to bring out these ability glasses, which unlock at level 13. So you get those crafted and we put those on. And if you come out of your base and get it out, you'll see above his head, we have stats above it. We can increase those in a few different ways. A free way is the Dr. Brawn that we have. Those, I think, work as like a percentage or a multiplier, very similar to IVs in Pokemon. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take this guy to Dr. Brawn up there. So we get our pal out, we talk to Mr. Brawn, he offers us an operation, so we go with it, and we're either lucky or we're unlucky. In this case, we were unlucky. That was really bad. But ultimately, what I wanted to show is that that is going to modify the IVs of your pal. And in this case, it's made them the lowest possible, which is why you might want a few spares when you have the passives that you want on the pal. This is only realistically going to speed things up, though. So technically, if you don't have Mr. Brawn, you will be able to move on to the next part that we're going to do to get those maxed out. Whether or not you want to go the Dr. Brawn route or continue doing what we're about to do to get those stats maxed out is entirely up to you. Obviously, we've got a 97 on this. That's actually pretty cool. We have another method that we can raise those IVs with, and that is by using skill fruits. As far as I'm aware, there are 4 main methods to get these. 3 of them are basically the same, but different merchants. This here is the bounty merchant, and you can see here we can purchase things like life fruits. We can also purchase implants. I'm going to mention those last. But we saw that my life was pretty low, so we're going to go ahead. We're just going to purchase a selection of these, and then with those in your inventory, we can go ahead and we can use those on any pal we like. So in our case, we'll go ahead and put them on Wixen, and we'll notice that now that health stat has gone up by quite a bit. There are multiple merchants that do this. This one is the bounty merchant, and you'll find him at Fisherman's Point, which is on the south side of the volcano island. to purchase them from him, we need to get bounty tokens. To get bounty tokens, we defeat the bosses that we see around, and you'll actually get more if you capture them. So if we go and deal with this guy right now, we'll put our mercy ring back on so that we can make this happen. Weaken the boss, get some power spheres on there, and you'll see that we get some tokens there. That one was a bit low level. Ideally, you want to aim for 40 plus. Over level 50 will give you 12. Obviously, I've got the item multiplier on max, which is 3x, which is why mine is obviously probably going to be higher than some people's. Obviously, just divide that by 3 for your own world. But because we're capturing them, we are then able to go ahead and feed them to the disassembly machine so that we can get even more bounty tokens when we are hunting down these mini bosses. You can, of course, do this as a part of the leveling process, which I find to be quite useful, and why it's my preferred method to max out the IV stats. That way I can do it whilst I'm going around facing off against the world bosses. The second type of merchant then is your dog coin merchant. I always end up coming to this church down here for mine, who sells them in exactly the same way, except for with dog coins. This seems way more expensive to me, but still a viable option if you have been hunting down the Memogs. The last merchant we can use is the arena one. We haven't started this yet on our world, but you can also do the exact same thing over this way, where you'll be able to purchase the same fruit drinks with your arena tickets. There is a final way, which is to do raids, but I'm just not doing that right now. I don't have one up to give you guys a recording of it. So if you have the power fragments, you can also farm the boss raids as well to get some extras doing that. Once you're happy with your pal's IVs, it's got all of the passives that you want on it. All that's left is to fully condense and level it up, and your pal is now perfect. I'll finish on the surgery bench then. Mostly useful for changing the gender of the pals, in my opinion, because if we get some of these pal reversers, I actually got most of these through fishing the salvage. These are pretty easy to get. You can take a pal over to this and you are able to change its gender, which is helpful for breeding. If you're getting the passives on the wrong gender, you can just switch that over. So that's quite useful. You can also just add some passives to your pals. Not all of them are available though, and you saw that there were 6 available to purchase from the merchants that sell the fruit as well. So you can get some decent results out of this. This might actually be better for something like your work-based pals if you want to get them up and running faster. So when it comes to one of your work pals, you can just go ahead, select a passive that you like the look at, such as Positive Thinker, so that they lose sanity lower. You select one of the slots and then you're able to just go ahead and change it. I'm obviously not going to be doing that on a Wixen that we've just worked so hard on, but something that I think can be useful for work pals. I'm finding I'm not really using it because in the case of Wixen, for example, only Serenity would even be possible to get from the chair, and the others I'm going to be getting from random encounters and legendary pals anyway.